Hi guys, Boise here, and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to use the pass-through trigger. And what this will do is you'll set a certain part of the map, and when an aircraft flies within that radius it will set up a trigger and then an action. So what we're going to do is test this. I've set up quite a simple raid of Wellingtons hitting some German shipping, so I'll just show you what I've done. Okay, so the mini convoy here is just simply 6 static tankers just sitting there doing not a lot, with some escort ships doing a circle of them, but yeah, fairly standard fare otherwise. And then we've got a raid of Wellington aircraft heading south to attack them. So I'll show you the properties here. So we've got 4 aircraft as set here, got a Vic formation as set here. The weapon set, we've got 18 250-pound bomb per aircraft in the central bomb bay, and detonators, we've got just standard ones there, and I'll show you the waypoint actions. So at waypoint 0, simply 500 meters, 300 kilometers an hour, normal flight, which is correct. They're just flying south at this point, and the same with waypoint 1, they're just flying south at this point, everything's the same. Okay, waypoint 2 is where they're actually going to attack the shipping. So you see we've got set there ground attack target, level bombing, and the number of passes as auto. They'll probably just dispense all of their bombs in one run and fly off anyway, so leaving it at auto will be fine. Okay, so that's that basic raid setup. Now what we're going to do first is just go into the game and make sure they spawn in immediately, just to test the radar setup properly, and then we'll look at getting them set up on a trigger. So if I go and fly the mission, I'll have a look and make sure it works. Okay, here we go. So immediately I've come into the mission, gone to external view, and you can see these aircraft flying south, just slightly off the coast of Cap Grenade. And in the distance you may be able to see the shipping that they're attacking. So we know the raid sets up correctly. When the mission starts, they'll spawn in, they're in formation, and they're heading straight for the ship, so that's good. What we'll do now is we'll now set them up against a trigger and see if we can get that to work as well. Okay, so we're back on the map screen now in all as it was before, so we're going to set these guys up on a trigger and see if we can get that to work. The first thing we do is tell this group of aircraft that they are now going to be subject to a trigger. So no longer will they spawn in as soon as the mission starts. So you'll see down here the option script spawn. Simply tick that, and that will tell them they're subject to a trigger then, and the spawn will depend upon that trigger being realised. And that's all we need to do. So we unselect, and that will mean if we were to start the mission now, they wouldn't spawn in straight away. They need to have this trigger set up. So let's go and set that trigger up now. So go to Edit, Script, where it says Manage in-game scripts and triggers, and you'll be presented with this window here where you've got triggers, actions, and script. Now, as per my previous tutorial, we're just going to use triggers and actions at this point. So what we do is we add a trigger, and we call it a name. In this case, I'm just going to call it 1 for simplicity. And as mentioned in the other videos, the name of the trigger and the action must match so that they can marry together and perform. If they're different names, they won't recognise each other, so that's very, very vital. So we'll just call it 1. You've got the type of triggers here, and we've worked on the time one already and group destroyed. This time it's going to be T pass through. So we're going to set a point where we can pass through and trigger the action. Okay, so here we go. Now it's going to ask us what aircraft or group is going to set off the trigger, i.e. which aircraft when it goes through this radius will set things in motion. Now we're going to leave it as player, and that's going to be the player 109 I've got set down here that I'll be flying. And now you select the point. Now we're going to do it at French Point, Cap Grenade, good easy navigation point. So I'm going to click on there, and then you can change the radius, and you'll see the radius as a circle flashing there. So let's do, I don't know, 1750 meters. Good sort of area to fly into. I'm certainly not going to miss it at all. And then that's good. So what that's done now is we've set the name, we've set the target pass through, the radius, and which aircraft is going to set that off. Okay, so we go to actions now. Okay, add the name, and as I mentioned, it must be the same. So trigger is called 1, action is called 1. The type here, it can only be air spawn, and that's what we need anyway, but that's all you can choose, so we leave that as it is. Now we click this one here, and it's going to ask us which group is going to spawn in on the back of the radius trigger being activated. So we press the 3 little dots here, and we select the Wellingtons, because they're the group that are going to be subject to this trigger. Okay, so let's just review that. The names match up. It's a target pass-through trigger, which is this radius here. So when this aircraft here flies up and goes into this zone here, these aircraft will then spawn in. Okay, so check the actions. So it's an air spawn group, and we've selected that group there. Great. Save that. And then we'll just make sure it has saved correctly. It looks like it has. That's good. Okay, right. So we unselect that. We'll fly the mission and see if we can get it working. Okay, so I've just taken off from the airfield and flying over the town of Boulogne. You can see the docks there, with all the industrial buildings. And on our 12 o'clock will be the convoy. So if I keep heading this direction, and I'll head north along the path that the Wellingtons will be taking south to make sure they haven't spawned in. A bit of a look here, you can see them out of the window there. So we've got our 6 static aircraft and then the 2 escorts circling them, which is correct. Okay, so I'm just going to speed up this point here and head just near French Point. You'll see I'm flying due north here, making sure we're not coming into contact with any Wellingtons at all. In fact, I'm going to veer slightly left and make sure I don't activate the trigger in error. Okay, we're here. Okay, so I'm just going to fly around and have a look. Hopefully not blowing my engine. And show you. So, we're in the area here where the Wellingtons should be spawning. I see no Wellingtons. I see no flak. Let me do a 360 and just confirm that is the case. Oh, nothing there at all. Okay, so far so good. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to complete this 360 and head towards French Point. Okay, so we're going to go wings level now and head towards French Point. Going to lose a bit of altitude because the Wellingtons will only be down at 500 metres once they do spawn in. But you see quite clearly, no Wellingtons, no flak, no, nothing going on at all. So as I approach French Point, we should hopefully get a spawn. Okay, we're very close to French Point now. We should be tripping that radius soon. Just going to look out the window and see if I can actually see the spawn. No, okay, we're at French Point now though. Okay, that's definitely French Point. Okay, I'm going to do a left-hand turn and just sweep over the tip of it here and see if we get any Wellingtons come in. Ah, there they are. Hopefully you can see that. There's 4 of them flying in now, so that worked an absolute treat. Yep, and you'll see the flak, that's for certain. We'll just fly a bit closer and check them out. I've only got an E1, so I have no cannon, but perhaps I'll make one pass on them. And there they are, so that worked. So as you can imagine, that's useful for a lot of reasons. You could have a point on the English coast, so if you take some fighters, some 109s over to England, it will spawn some Hurricanes or Spitfires to scramble against you. Or simply use it at a form-up point on the first leg of a patrol. So once you reach the first leg, it will spawn in a raid further on the coast. Yeah, quite a few options really. Let's get in and get a few shots at them. Takes one on the right hand side. So I missed more than I hit, but there we go. We'll climb away. Okay, good, but there you go. So that worked a treat, and that's how you use a pass-through trigger.